Remain. It's just causing such a problem in society. I mean, we've got riots in Liverpool, you know, from far rights and far lefts. You know, we need to just unite together on this, whether you voted in or voted out. We need to unite together.
You know what the problem here is? People don't understand democracy or what just happened. And why should they, after the disgusting way democracy was just treated? We had two camps, the Leave camp and the Remain camp, the campaigns, basically cajoling, wheedling, browbeating and trying to frighten people into voting the way they wanted us to vote. That's not electoral choice. That's some kind of twisted version of democracy. A referendum, a nationally important decision, should be based on facts. Now what we should have had was an impartial body lay out as many facts as they could. We don't need twisted versions, statistics, misrepresentations. What the fuck is that all about? Why are people browbeating us to try and vote the same way as their group or the same way as their party? This is supposed to be a choice, not a browbeating exercise. Nah, we should have just an absolute list, the cost of it, benefits of it, people's opinions, because it regards a future that nobody can quite tell. People's opinions about that future would be important, but all you need is to state them. Boris Johnson believes that we'll get our sovereignty back. Imran Khan, whatever his fucking name is, the other mayor of London, he believes that we're just financially better off in Europe. Whack, whack. Put them down, put them in a list right next to each other. That's all we need, is the actual information, not weeks of bullshit campaigning and fear-mongering. And it was disgusting. That's not democracy. That's not about choice. Add to that the fact that we had campaigning on the Remain side were the government, the Labour opposition, the Scottish National Party, the tabloid press, the Mirror, the Mail, the Sun, the Express. We had so-called experts, financial experts, 9 out of 10 telling us, yeah, EU is brilliant. We had all of these people campaigning to Remain, and the Leave vote still won. The Remain mobilised the absolute maximum that they could. They would have converted as many idiots as they could. They would have converted as many waverers, as many not so informed, as many who just want to support their party. They have converted as many votes as they possibly could, and they still lost. This is why they don't talk about, you know, it was a close result. 48% to 52% is a close result, but they know damn well that they had the absolute maximum they could scrape out of the country, and they still lost. And I know if the campaigning had been split properly 50-50, if we instead of having 3 Remain leaflets through our doors printed with taxpayers' money, if we'd have had 2, 1 on each side, they would have lost by a fucking landslide. Now on the back of that, we've got the Labour Party, who have a democratically elected leader. 300,000 people voted. He got 60% of that vote. He's propped up by the party grassroots, by the actual people who are supposed to be represented by the Labour Party. Now the parliamentary Labour Party is stuffed with parliamentarians who believe the Labour Party needs to be more right-wing. Corbyn is left-wing, the supporters are left-wing. That's 2 different groups of people. And the parliamentary Labour Party is doing their damnedest to get Corbyn out, and the party faithful membership are doing their damnedest to keep him in. Where's the democracy? Those parliamentary Labour Party, not only are they unhappy with the result, they think it was the wrong result, they think there's someone to blame. They think they can blame Jeremy Corbyn for the public getting it wrong, and flying in the face of democracy, stick to their complaints and try and oust him. What a load of shit. Now trying to oust him is anti-democratic as well. And we should know this, because the EU was anti-democratic. On top of this, Nicola Sturgeon's Scottish National Party, they had a referendum very recently, within the last 2 years, on Scottish independence. And the Scottish people chose no to independence, will stay in the United Kingdom. Now the Scottish National Party make no secret of the fact they will use any political capital, any aims, and they will be patient when it requires patience, and they'll push when it requires push. They want Scotland independent. They're anti-democratic. Fucking arseholes, really. And there's so many of them in government now, they've become a kind of force. Now the referendum, because of the way the referendum was a total votes referendum. Only the total counted votes counted for anything. It was nothing to do with regions. We got it divided into regions because they happened to count the votes within different regions, and it was interesting. The BBC and other places reported it based on which area voted which way, and that's the only reason we have that information. Now, because of that, we know that everyone in Scotland, every area in Scotland, voted Remain. So now Nicola Sturgeon's like, well, I'm not having the UK drag Scotland out of the EU when it doesn't want to be in. Well, give it some democratic perspective. You want the 5 million people in Scotland to somehow outvote the 55 million people in England. That's ridiculous. And now she wants to go to the EU. She wants to get a pledge from them, basically, that says we'll be able to have Scotland in the European Union if Scotland is a free nation, if Scotland is a sovereign state. So now she's going to go back to Scotland and go, right, we need to have a referendum on this, and she'll bung it in. If you want to be in Europe, if you want to be in the EU, now is the time to split from the UK. And she's going to wheedle round the back door like this, trying to get Scotland independent, which is what she wanted from the very beginning. Where's the democracy? And they wonder why people are fighting in the streets of Liverpool, because you've given this idea that democracy is negotiable. The greater will of the people can somehow be subverted because you fucking treat democracy with that kind of contempt.
Half of the country basically felt that the current system does not look after them.
Stop speaking on behalf of 17 million people. You're going off on a crazy tangent again, and you're only going to use it to support your own political bullshit.
I mean, are you happy being led by Nigel Farage?
I've made it very clear in December, in the run-up to this referendum, angry nativism is no way to win elections in this country. It doesn't work, and it's morally wrong.
This is UKIP's only Member of Parliament, here implying that his party leader is all about angry nativism. There's only one man in his parliamentary party, and he's causing a split in UKIP. It is the stupidest thing he could have done. Why he couldn't just shut the fuck up and let his party seem like the only unified party in the land? But no, he had to open his big mouth and add them to the pile of political instability with that one little fucking phrase that he couldn't stop himself from saying. What an idiot. An absolute twat.
Is there no shame or loyalty with MacLeod and Boris Johnson?
Who gives a fuck about your loaded question designed to cast aspersions and deliver insults masquerading as a question? If Michael Gove gets to be PM and gets to be a Conservative Party leader at the next general election, you'll either vote for him or you won't.
Seems to have. But anyway, whatever's been going on behind closed doors, it's been enough to frighten off Boris, and Boris has now gone away.
That's one of the guys you earlier accused in hysterical tones of abandoning us. So now you understand what happened. Politicians are so full of it.
And the serious point is what I said before. It shows that the disarray amongst Brexiteers, if you heard what Boris promised before the election and then immediately afterwards saying, you know, it was Boris Johnson saying, oh, this referendum wasn't about immigration. Oh, there's no problem with immigration. You know, it's just like people keep being given different stories by these Brexiteers. So Boris has now taken away his ball and he's off, you know, and so now we have Michael Gove. And what have we got with Michael Gove? Michael Gove says that if we vote Brexit, that will be a contagion, he says, that will result in the liberation of other countries across Europe. And he's going to go and negotiate on behalf of Britain if he wins this election. Really? Really? And how is that going to help?
You've lost the audience. You've lost me a little bit. The 2 points that you're trying to sew together are so sort of missing each other that people have pretty much switched off. They don't quite get it, and there's not much there to get.
Help us. And in what way are the Europeans going to help them? Then he says, oh, it doesn't matter that the fact that I've been insulting all the Europeans because I'm not going to negotiate on the single market at all.
All right.
I don't even want us to be in a single market.
All right. Sam, you're a minister in the government. What do you make of what's gone on? What happened? Why is Boris Johnson given up?
Well,
why has Gove suddenly announced, having worked with him for months, that he can't provide the leadership to build a team? What's going on?
I'm as baffled and confused as everyone.
Yep, at least that much.
Despite what is on our TV screens, there is a government, right? David Cameron is still Prime Minister. David Cameron is still Prime Minister.
That laughter by the audience there is what I'm going to pick on now. You might think I'm going to go for the Conservative guy, but they're laughing because the media, the mainstream media, has been harping on about the Prime Minister as a lame duck. It hasn't reported accurately or properly about what he is and isn't doing. They just jumped on this bandwagon. And I see these basically uninformed tits laughing when someone tells them they have actually got a government at the moment. Of course they fucking have. Of course we've got a Prime Minister and a Cabinet. And apart from negotiating the EU exit, they're doing all the stuff they would normally do. Now, I won't purport to say how much or how little that is, but it's business as usual. I'm sure Cameron's not giving it his all, but equally, his cabinet have got nothing to lose by continuing to work. For Cameron, he's got nothing to gain, really. He can put his feet up and relax, take it easy in his last couple of months. There's nothing to do with him anymore. But he's still doing PMQs. He's still in the House of Parliament. We've seen him having a go at Jeremy Corbyn, telling him, for heaven's sake, go, man. You know, being pretty mischievous, I suppose. There is no reason to believe this mainstream media tagline sensationalist crap that we basically don't have a government when we patently do.
He was at the EU Council this week batting for Britain. We know that George Osborne is working with the G7 and the Bank of England to stabilise the current situation, because whichever side you're on, leave or remain, it is clear that we face an uncertain economic situation, and it is the job of the government to make sure that we come out of it well. We saw Mark Carney earlier on today talking about possible interest rate cuts to stimulate the economy. So let's not confuse, yes, the soap opera, which is the Conservative leadership election, with what is happening.
But you noticed the laughter when you said we do have a government, because nobody really believes we do have a government at the moment.
Well,
do you believe?
This is why me, or even any fairly normal person, couldn't be in politics, because at this point I would say, because they're fucking stupid. And I'd be right.